Once upon a time, in the quiet town of Fernhill, there lived a boy named Sami who was always late. His teachers called him distracted. His neighbors called him odd. His parents, who loved him dearly, simply called him a daydreamer. But Sami wasn't just dreaming. Every day, he asked the same question to the wind, to puddles, to the stars outside his bedroom window. What if I could teleport? He never expected an answer. But one gray afternoon, while exploring the basement of his uncle's curiosity shop, Sami stumbled across a strange metal box wrapped in velvet and copper wires. It gave off a low hum, like it had a secret. On its lid was a small brass plate that read, "Teleporter 1. Not yet tested. Use with wonder." A big red button blinked slowly in the center. Without thinking too hard, Sami pressed it. Zee! The world twisted and turned inside out. For half a second, everything looked like paint swirling in water, and then Sami landed with a thump. He was on a pirate ship, a real one. It rocked on a wild silver sea, with thunder clapping above. Pirates in colorful coats ran around yelling, one waving a jellyfish instead of a sword. "We got a landlubber!" someone roared. Sami ducked behind a barrel and zapped himself away just before a squid smacked into the deck like a snowball. In the next blink, he landed in a desert where sand sang lullabies, and the sun wore sunglasses. The dunes shimmered and shifted until they spelled out glowing words. "Welcome, Sami! Where to next?" Sami burst out laughing. "Anywhere!" His next stop was a massive tower made entirely of ticking clocks, each showing a different world. Some ticked backward, others forward, and one seemed to skip time like a scratched record. At the top of the tower, a man whispered to him, "Time isn't what you think. It's not a line. It's a garden. Pick where to grow." Sami didn't completely understand, but he remembered it. Far above the clouds, on a floating island, Sami found a library that flapped its wings like a bird. Books whispered their stories aloud as they passed overhead. There, a glowing librarian handed Sami a blank notebook. "Write what no one else remembers, or no one ever dared imagine," the librarian said. So Sami did. He wrote, "What if there's a door in the sky that only opens when you laugh? What if trees have birthdays? What if your dreams leave footprints on the moon?" With every idea, the pages shimmered brighter, but not every world he visited was full of color and wonder. One day, Sami landed in a place that was silent and gray. The towers were crumbling. The air was still. The people were shadows, moving slowly through fog. On a bench sat a boy, clutching a broken pencil and staring at the ground. Sami sat beside him. "Do you ever wonder?" he asked gently. The boy didn't look up. "There's nothing left to wonder about." Sami pulled the glowing notebook from his backpack. He opened to a page and read, "What if clouds were made of candy?" The boy blinked. Sami turned the page. "What if birds told jokes when no one was listening?" The boy smiled, just a little. And then the world began to breathe. A breeze moved the fog. Color returned in soft waves. Buildings stood taller. Children began to appear bright-eyed, curious, full of questions. Sami handed the boy the notebook and whispered, "Keep asking." And with that, he vanished. Back in Fernhill, Sami realized teleportation wasn't just for fun or adventure. It was a gift. He stopped teleporting just to escape. Instead, he used what he had seen to bring wonder back home. He left sidewalk, chalk drawings of invisible creatures. He slipped questions into library books. He taped glowing stars to the ceilings of dark classrooms. And sometimes, when someone asked, "What if?" the bracelet on Sami's wrist would shimmer again. He still travels sometimes to wild deserts, sometimes to moon gardens, sometimes to broken worlds in need of wonder. But wherever he goes, Sami brings back magic, because he knows the truth. You don't need a machine to teleport. All you need is curiosity and the courage to imagine. And that was the end of story. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. See you later. Bye-bye.